put your camera on, I'd like to introduce Oluyemi Odeyinka. And we met before. Sometimes some people call him James, but I like Oluyemi Odeyinka because it's a great author's name. And so when I see you in Orlando, I'm expecting to talk about the book you're going to write with that fantastic name. It'd be great to see. Oluyemi is the technical architect and the cybersecurity at Walgreens. Walgreens, for those of you who are international, is one of our drugstores that's in every town and have been at the center of the vortex of the COVID dilemma, the COVID global pandemic. So I'm going to turn off my camera and leave this to you, Oluyemi. Please share your screen, and I will see you back in 30 or 35 minutes.
Thank you so much, Chris. Hello, everybody. I want to thank Proqis. I want to thank Chris for fantastic introduction. Again, Chris, I can't wait until November. All right, guys. Hey, I want you to relax. We are just going to be talking about what has changed in the architecture, in the EA enterprise architecture since pandemic. You guys know we all went through some stuff, and that is the reason why I have to pick this topic. Guys, my name is James Odeyinka. It's Oluyemi, but I go by James in US, like Chris said, because it's easy for people to pronounce. All right, so guys, it is my slide that is acting up. I wanted to move to the next slide, and it seems that I'm having some issue on that one.
Well, we can get that one worked out. There you go. That looks like it's only your cover slide. You probably need to get that other presentation open.
All right, so can you help me with that, Chris?
Don't
worry, I got it working.
Super.
End of slideshow. It's still showing.
I think that's just your cover slide deck. You just opened the deck that had the one orange slide.
Oh, I see. I see. Thank you.
Just need to open the other one.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to simply say to everybody, if you haven't been to the event in November, and it was the first time I'd gone down with the award ceremony. It was a wonderful example of seeing people who have had incredibly successful projects and who've given their heart and soul to working on those projects. It was wonderful. It brought me back to the days of when I was in my 20s and 30s working on these projects. It really was fantastic. So if you can make it to Orlando in the fall or early winter, I guess you call November, we will see you there.
All right, Chris, we are back.
Right,
we are back in the
go to presentation mode, and that was my end of my present. Right. And then if you can just go to presentation mode, James, you'd be in good shape. That's the regular mode. I think if you hit F5 on your computer, yeah, perfect. Great. I'll see you in about half an hour.
All right, thank you so much, Chris, for your support. That is so great. Thank you. All right, so guys, we are so sorry for that hiccup, guys. So if you don't mind, I would like to go in and then start to bring some of the things that we needed. For a reason, I don't know what is going on here. It seems that my EA was, my slide was a little bit hiccup again. Chris, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. So just click back on one.
Chris, this is my slide. I don't know why it's bouncing in and out.
Yeah, just hit F5. Hit F5 on that one.
Let me see. Let's make sure that I'm. Yeah. Okay. We are back to normal now. All right, guys.
Okay. Pressing on.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. All right, guys. I'm gonna make it worth of your time. I know that we have hiccup starting. That's a good thing because then that will make the news, and we want something to be in the news, right? All right, guys. Enterprise architecture is what we are speaking on, and I'm gonna be talking about, what happened, post-pandemic. What happened to the enterprise architecture itself? Guys, if you don't know or if you don't have the full concept, there are three disciplines. There are three disciples. I call them disciples, just something to do to evaluate what goes on in the world today. So we have discipline, we have set of models, and at the same time, we do have process. These are the disciples that you will see in an enterprise architecture. And guess what? It is not that when you look at the architecture itself, it's not like you will actually see it every, like, hey, there's a disciple here, there's a process here, there's a set of models here. But what you will see is reading the architecture, you'll probably see that signature in the architecture diagram itself. If you're asking me why is EA needed, hey, this is why EA is needed. Without the EA, the organization growth will be hampered. The business growth depends on the enterprise architecture. I want you to know that. And if you don't organize your EA very well, which we are going to look at in a very few minutes, about what happens when you don't organize, what are the challenges that you will face. But this is a marriage of IT infrastructure, application development, data management, which we equate to what we call business growth. Hey guys, I know that some of the businesses have already rounded up. No, some of them are no more available or no more here because of pandemic. Guys, it is because all of the signature is actually in the EA, and they did not take proper alignment when they were writing their EA. They will have seen that if something of pandemic happens, which Chris just alluded to, maybe another global pandemic is coming. If you do not take care of your EA, that might wipe you out of the business. I want you to know that. So the business growth is the reason why EA is important. And what makes the business growth happens is those things that I just highlighted. As we go on, we're gonna see, when we talk about the enterprise architecture. So what are the 4 leading enterprise architecture today? Guys, I met Zachman not too long ago, I think towards late last year himself. So guys, these are the things, these are the leading today, the enterprise framework. We have Zachman. If you guys look at FIF and DODAF, you will see that those are more of something recent. DODAF is for Department of Defense. That is something recent, is in 2000. We are in 2022 today. TOGAF is celebrating. TOGAF and Zachman, they are both celebrating. There's something that a lot of people use as of today. There's something that a lot of people are drawn to. I study TOGAF and I use it on daily basis. Zachman, I have started doing a lot of Zachman as well because of the world that we live in. What is the world that we live in? We live in the world of the cloud, that you guys know. Hey guys, this is how the EA looks like before pandemic. And I know that all of you that are here, I know you are knowledgeable. You know what this means. You can see that old man pointing to it. I will try to make you know that it's an old avenue. Yes, there's nothing completely new today, as you know, but guess what? We have to add some things into it to help us with the effect of the pandemic. What happened within the pandemic into EA is something that will be highlighted into your view as we move on today. Guys, hey, this is another one. I believe that before pandemic, when you see people with nose cover, particularly for the cashiers in the bank, you know what they do? Before you know it, they already press a button that will make 911 comes in. Hey guys, this is what we think will happen after pandemic, and I will relate it to what you guys are going to see in the next slide as we move on. Hey guys, this is what you will see in the post-pandemic. Guys, if you are working for Fortune 500 or a global company today, and you are telling me that your global team does not know anything about zero trust, that you guys have no clue about IoT, and you have no clue about artificial intelligence, I will tell you that you are totally out of it. Zero trust, if you allow me to talk about zero trust, we'll be on and on and on and on today. Guys, zero trust is part of the EA today, and it will continue to live with EA because the structure, the enterprise architecture of the employees have changed. What has it changed to? We'll have what we call a mixture of both remote employee. We had that before too, but guess what? It has widened the scope now. We know that some things can be done remotely and some things can be done while you are physical. Guys, the reason why I have IoT and the edge here issue, I should highlight that because it's part of the, some of them fall in the data, some of them fall in the application architecture. That is what you will see. And some of them fall in the technology architecture itself. But the reason why we move them out is because we want to call attention to it, because pandemic brought those things into limelight. Guys, IoT today, we have about 50 billion IoT worldwide. They already outnumber us, if you don't know. And guess what, guys? In the EA itself, there are so many things that we missed up. As you see, as we go along, I will explain that. And artificial intelligence, they are here to stay. It doesn't matter what anybody says. It's part of the EA. And a lot of teams are having problems adopting AI into their architecture. You know the reason why? They didn't prepare for it. They didn't plan for it. They are living in the era that we call pre-pandemic. That is the reason why that they are not ready for it. Hey, guys, this is what it looks like today. If you look at it, the old man goes away on your left side of things, and the new people comes in. What are the new people? We're calling, we have zero trust. If you see all of those zero, they are just zero trust. Zero trust for users, zero trust for applications, zero trust for infrastructure. That is the era that you are alluding to, that you're going to be getting into. Then we have artificial intelligence to help us with some of the decision making. I don't know about you, but the last time that I checked, that we put both notification and the monitoring into the alert monitoring into the EA. Guess what? We find out that today's world, it is almost impossible for us to actually be able to do active monitoring or do cyber ops without artificial intelligence. Hey guys, I want you to know that these are the things that you need to go back to your team. You need, if you are a CIO, if you are a CTO, if you are a CEO and you are listening, and if you are a technical architect and you are listening, if you do not have space for what is on the left in your EA today call out, I want you to go back and tell them that, hey, we are too behind and they need to be making provision for that. So guys, then we have now I have another, the governance architecture. I intentionally brought the cloud governance architecture into the mix. Why did I bring cloud architecture into the mix? It is because every Fortune 500 today has some kind of presence in the cloud, and because of and I'm talking about public cloud, and because of that, it is so, I want people to see the things that I've worked with when adopting the new technology, into the EA. So if you look at it, you will see our blueprints, which is actually what you'll be looking at, and you will see a bunch of policy, which is part of what you'll be seeing. You see the cloud portal and you see the infrastructure. Guys, everything that you've seen, I can actually come out and bring and make it, elaborate to see different architecture that is within what you guys have seen. This is what you have seen, but guess what? If I started to break it out, and as you guys, in your different workplaces, you will find out that you have, the repo that you actually help protect or help, update, because guess what? Different application. If you're working the world that I work on, you probably have more than 3,000 applications or 2,000 applications. Guess what? All of those architecture are obsolete now. And you can't tell me that you don't fall in that trap, because guess what? It's a technical debt that everybody have to pay. And that is what is going to be happening in the next few days. Hey, If you are reading architecture today, and I'm talking about the people that they are not really an architect or enterprise architect in their work, I want you to be looking for what you are looking at right now. The architecture, when I look at your architecture, and that is the reason why some people call me prophet. So when I look at your architecture, I can see noise. I can see structure. I can see your CMMI level. I can see your organization culture. I can see your organization risk. I can see your strategy. That is what your EA will actually tell me. So if you are looking at your architecture today and you are not able to see any of this, yeah, they are more than what you have here, but if you are looking at them and you are not able to see all of this, I can tell you so much, I don't think you can see between the lines. All of these things will not be written in EA. But for the people like yourself that is listening today, you should be able to look at the architecture and see how noisy it is. You should be able to look at it and see if there's a structure around that organization. You should be able to look at it and see their capacity, capability maturity model. Because when you look at the architecture, you will see if they are mature or not. And guess what? The organization structure, the culture will actually speak. All of these things are signature that you should be able to read when you are looking at exact, at EA, when somebody hands you their architectural diagram. It doesn't matter if it's only for application. It doesn't matter if it's for the business. It doesn't matter if it's for the infrastructure. I can see all of this in there. And I can see their organizational strategy in the architecture. That is the reason why if you go out there, they will tell you that, EA is actually a confidential data. And I know that you guys know because that's what you do. You do public data and you do confidential data. EA will tell you what the strategy is or what those people are doing. Guys, challenges in the enterprise architecture are too enormous. One thing that I'm going to say right now, that if you are an EA and you have not actually get to that level yet, I want you to start looking at it in a very deep manner. What am I saying? I'm saying that since it's now post-pandemic, I want you to go back into your arsenal and you will find out that you have a lot of architectural diagrams that are obsolete. What does he insinuate? I went through that when I was actually going through my own transformation. Guess what? Every application is put out to do assessment before we actually do the migration. Do you know what happened during that time? Everything that is in that paper, you find out that it's not there. They tell you this server is here, this application listing here, this database is there. Hey guys, if you have not run into that, you are going to run into it. When you actually do discovery, you'll find out those things that they said they were there, they were not there. And there are some things that have been added to the infrastructure or to the application that were not reported. Guess what, guys? The post-pandemic era will give you a chance to go back. Now people are eager to see each other again. Now you're gonna go back and say, okay, hey guys, we have a technical debt. And the technical debt that we're gonna be solving for is particularly, because you are part of the EA, is updating our enterprise architecture. Guys, it's too many. Don't go into the business side of things. Stay in your own lane. If you want to update the business side of things, get people involved. How many times, tell me if you are from the business, how many times have they changed your course code in your during the pandemic? How many times? Multiple times. That if you ask people now, what department do you belong to? They will tell you, I don't even know. If you go to organization chat on your platform and you said, hey, I want to know who Chris reports to, do you know what will happen? You'll find out that Chris reports to somebody that is probably left the organization, is no longer with the company. Those are the technical debt that you are going to inherit as an EA. So I need to make sure that you understand those challenges and you are preparing for those challenges so that you know what to do on day one. Yes, you have new people that's coming in. You will need to pilot them. You will need to mentor them to be able to help you. Yes, you are going to hire people that you call them documenter that are going to be doing documents for you. Please, you need to be, if you leave them alone and you walk away, you are going to be doing this again in the next 6 months. I'm telling you right now. So the first thing you want to do is what has changed in our architecture. Then see how you can fit that in. All of the technology that we mentioned, does it exist now? Can you put them under the structure? Those are the things that you should be focusing on, and that is updating, the existing EA, and that is what you have at this place. Yes. Hey, everybody that have EA and you are part of everybody that have EA and you are part of the EA, tell me that when they brought those data science team, those machine learning people in, tell me that your governance is still up to date. Tell me. I believe that none of you can actually say yes, they are up to date. As we speak right now, if your data is still under construction, if your data is still under the development, guess what is going to happen? You are going to be having problem with data science team. They want to have access to every data. They want to touch every data, and they don't care where data what kind of regulation are in those data. PCI, PII, PHI, EPHI, GDPR, talk of them. Guys, this is governance time. Go back to the dressing room, like the soccer people do. Go back to the dressing room, call the coach, call the team players, call everybody to the table and say, hey guys, we need to revamp our governance. Governance is a continuous thing. If not, I don't know the reason why we will have senators still talking about the Constitution. If not, I don't know why we will have constitutional lawyers. Guys, governance is a continuous thing. If there is an ambitious C-level manager that thinks that governance should be done and you should forget about it, hey, this is the time you let him know that, hey, every time has its own perilous time. And because every time is perilous, you know that you have to cater for that. It was pandemic that we were talking about before, and we were talking about lack of trust. Guess what? We got a war on our hand. And what happened with the war? Cyber war follows. Malware, they're flying. Guys, you need to go back and do the governance. You will see that I spend time on the challenges because that is what I do for a living. I provide solution to problems. And I'm trying to get you into a position so that when you go back, you will easily identify what the problem is. I bet it, guys, if you go back to your working place tomorrow, if all of this thing that I'm saying, if it doesn't exist, that means you are ahead of the game. So what does it happen with foundational infrastructure? Most of you will have moved past that, unless if you are just migrating to the cloud. And I need to speak to those people because some of you will be joining a new team or a new organization that is trying to have a presence in the cloud. That is what we call foundational infrastructure. Guys, if your foundational infrastructure, if it is shaky, trust me, whatever thing you build on top of it is going to be shaken all over. That is one thing that I want you to understand. If your foundation is shaking, anything you build on top of it will be shaky. Guys, that is the reason why when you actually doing it, I didn't have anybody to help me with that. When I was going through this, I did not have anybody to help me through that. If you are building the foundation, I want you to start with this structure. Start with them and start talking to people and say, hey guys, hey, we already have some of this. Now we need to make sure that we cater for this. And that way you are building a strong foundation because the cyber is built for your resilience. That is one thing that I want to show you that you will need, and I have to go back to the challenges. So the foundation, it have to be defined. And you as an EA, please join them Please be around them. Hey, I know it's very tiresome because of what you do. You have to explain over and over why something should not be here, why something should not be there. Yes, I have been through it. Guys, this is your time that you need to make sure that you pilot the team to the place where you think that, hey, now we have a foundation. Now, if they build something on top of what I have now, even if it is not built well, it will be easy for me to move around. It will be easy for me to revamp. It will be easy for me to change. But if you do not engage in the foundation, and maybe somebody pissed you off and you stay away from them, hey guys, you will be firefighting for the rest of your time because the foundation is shaky. Everything you build on top of it, you'll be all over. Hey guys, protecting the foundational resources. It is something that is very, very important. And I want to say this because of what you guys will be going through when it comes to the security of every company. Hey guys, those people are under duress too. And those people, they just came out of, pandemic like everybody else. Hey, cut them some slack, guys. Cut them some slack. They are doing wonderful job for keeping your business safe with all of the hula baloo that happened during the pandemic. Now the pandemic is over. Now everybody will come. Now you'll be able to put faces to the people that you hired during the pandemic that somebody told, one of your security guy, hey, that guy, we saw him checking this database. He has no reason to do that, because he was hired during the pandemic, right? And they turned him to the pandemic. Now it is your job now to say, hey guys, hey, this is what you do moving forward. This is what you not do moving forward. Guys, if you do not have a meeting and a workshop for EA team in your organization, when you get back to work, tell your CIO or who is your VP or who you report to, tell them that you need to start EA. Start with monthly first. And you just call it EA workshop, where you tell people what new things that you guys have added into the architecture and how you want them to build on top of that. That is what you can do. That will give you peace. If not, I don't know if you work in a place that I work, that you have more than 3,000 applications that are residing somewhere. Guess what? It's gonna be hard for you. You will be reviewing every little data, every little architecture. You'll be reviewing them because you don't have pattern, because you don't have foundation, because you do not build protection into the architecture. Guys, the challenges is real. It's more than what I listed here based on what I said, and it's going to be double as the time moves on. Hey, but if you have a strong foundation, it's going to be easy for you to do that. What has changed with the zero trust, with the IoT and edge, all of them, if you look at them, all of them, they brought challenges into you. But you can use, AI also brought its own challenges too. Don't doubt about it. But guess what now? You can use those framework to cater. What I do, let me give you an hint. Your IoT environment should be separate. Make sure there's a VLAN, make sure there's a segmentation. So you know when something is routing in your network, that is IoT. Because guess what? Once you know that it's segmented, as you know the IP for your IoT, don't allow those network guys to overrule you. Because the network guy is going to use his way to tell you that, hey, I don't have any more address space that I can allocate for this. That is not your portion. Tell him you need to be able to demarcate what is IoT within your environment. If you do not do that, you are risking what I call cyber attack. By the time they come into your environment, it's already too late because you don't know which one is which. You can't tell which one is your server. You can't tell which one is your application. And you can't tell which one is your IoT. You're all over. That is what I call, the foundation. And that is nice. Don't forget, we talked about nice. Immediately that I saw, you're reading the architecture, I say, where's your IoT? And they pointed to me, oh, yeah, we have IoT in the stores. And I'm like, okay, what address space? I was like, yeah, we gave them the same address space. Then oh, that's nice. God of mercy. How we will get around this one. So guys, I'm going to call it a day here. I know we don't have enough time to go through all of the amazing things that comes with the changes. There are so many. I can spend a whole day going on and on and on and on what changes has come out of the pandemic. If anybody have question, I think this is the time for question and answer. And Chris, I don't know if you are still there.
I am back. Can you see me on the screen?
Yes, I can see you. Thank you,
Okay.
Chris.
I asked you a question, Oluyemi Odeyinka. I asked you a question at the beginning of this session. And the question was, what should the title of your book be, right? I have the answer.
Awesome.
Guys, this is enterprise architecture. That is the name of your book.
Thank you, Chris.
As I'm listening to this, and the overall message I took, and there are many of the subcomponents that if you're running one of these teams, but the overall message I took from this is kind of like, it's over. Now you got to kind of reorganize all this stuff and get it and take it seriously. Your message is a message that probably a year ago would have just made people crawl in, under the couch, because we were all running away from COVID. But now your message is, at least is what I take it. Am I right? It's kind of like, okay, wake up, let's get in the game and fix all that stuff we found out didn't work so well.
Chris, you are on point, Chris, as always. Guess what, Chris? If you look at it, we have no veil anymore. We remove the mask. So all of the people that we hired during pandemic, now we bring them to the light. So everybody's gonna see eye to eye. Whether you come to office once in a week or once in a month, whether you come every day. No, everybody's facing each other. I'm like, okay, guys, hey, we have a foundation. Let's wrap it up. And Chris, you are on point, Chris. I like that.
Well, it's because every time you said guys, I thought you were talking to me. So I looked up, said, hey, he's talking to me again. That's very important. So let's be very tactical, and just for the sake of anyone who's listening in or watches the recording, because they can go back through the whole presentation, and they can talk about each one of your pieces. But if you're going to say to someone, leaders of one of these teams, and they're going to show up to their team on Monday morning and say, there's a lot for us to focus on. And I've got this great presentation that I got from the Proqis event. But here are the 3 things I would like you all to think about for the next month. We're just going to make progress on these 3 things. So what 3 things come to mind? And maybe it's not 3, but for you, what 3 things? Okay, they've listened to you. They're locked in. They realize they got to do some stuff. What are those 3 things?
So Chris, this is really awesome. Thank you for the question, Chris. Chris, technical depth, technical depth, technical depth. Chris, the enterprise architecture that people walk around with today, they are obsolete. Chris, they do not tell anything about what is running in their platform, Chris. I am not joking. So if you look at it, they have more technical depth. So when they're working, the first thing that the CIO or the CEO want to say is, guys, hey, are we up to date with our EA, with our enterprise architecture? And you will see there will be a cricket on the table if that question is asked.
That's very interesting, because the sessions we had this morning, we had 2 sessions earlier this morning, or depending what time zone you're in. And one of those sessions was a fantastic tool. Blue Dolphin is the name of the tool. And I thought during that presentation, how bad is the situation right now? And he was too nice to say the situation is a disaster, and that's why we built this tool. Right? He didn't want to say that, but is that kind of what you're saying? Is that people really don't know what they have?
Chris, honestly, I am so glad I was part of Dolphin. I am so glad that you actually mentioned that it's disaster. Chris, let's put something on top of that. We are in disaster recovery mode for EA. That is what we should talk about the meeting. When the CIO get to the meeting with his C-level team, he should say, "Hey guys, I'm unveiling a new workshop." And when they ask him, he say, "We are in disaster recovery mode for EA." Yes, Chris, you are so right. It is so disastrous. And Chris, it's very alarming that, Chris, if you literally cannot make it to work and you give your EA to a team when they are having issues, Chris, it's all different thing. It is not what is on site that people are looking at when you hand them the technical architecture of an application. Talk less of the infrastructure itself. So yes, Chris, it's a disaster. But guess what? If there's a tool out there that somebody already built, which I know Blue Dolphin, guess what? That will reduce the technical debt. Chris, fortunately, I'm not paid by Blue Dolphin or anybody. But Chris, let me tell you this. I find out that when you talk to the team, they'll tell you that, oh, we already have tool. We already have a tool. Hey guys, you have a tool that was working for you before pandemic. Now people have seen what is going on and they are trying to help you. Chris, yes, the tool is not going to solve all the problem, but it's going to reduce it. Chris, if somebody hold $1 million like I do, and somebody help you with $550,000, Chris, is that not getting you towards getting out of your debt? And that is the reason why, yes, I don't know Blue Dolphin, but guess what? If they are out there and they're trying to solve the problem, now we need to tell the C-men, the C-level guys, and say, hey, you need to invest in something and reduce the debt of your men. That is a genius thing to do. That is what a CIO of today, my amazing CIO is one of them, that is what they would do.
So I found it was really interesting listening to this, because we had Diederik Postma from Value Blue, and Blue Dolphin is their tool, which I had never seen before. I'd never seen the tool, and he gave a very good presentation. And this is kind of my wrap up for the day, right? So you and I can kind of wrap this session up for the day, because what you've said kind of ties this together. So Diederik gave this, in my opinion, very compelling overview of how you can understand what you have before you turn it into magic, right? You have to understand what you have. I love it. Everybody wants to turn it into magic before they know what they even have. So there was a fantastic view of that. And then we had another presentation after that. Dan Hebda from Mega came on, and Dan did an incredibly good description of the challenges of the people and the respect between the different functions, that if they don't respect and understand each other, that they're not going to be able to make the right decisions. And so if you tie that in with the usability tool, and you came in and kind of kicked them in the ass and said, hey, okay, now you got those two things, now fix it. And I think you do it in the right spirit, right? You're very positive about doing it. We're coming out of this pandemic nightmare, and here's the opportunity to make some of these changes. So, okay, so your first point was the baseline. Know what you have. But if it's on fire, what's the next thing? So now that you know what you have, what's the next thing?
So guess what, Chris? It's not only me. You know what happened in the last semester, in the last few months. We are not going to go back to politics. Me and you are not into politics. We use technology to solve problems. But Chris, the next thing is governance, Chris. Chris, I don't know if you ask any EA today how much one of these data science and machine learning team cost. They cost us, stupendous money. That's what I can call it. So guess what? All of our governance, existing governance about the data, they're obsolete. And we are handicapping innovation. And guess what? It's not peculiar to any particular industry, but it's peculiar to the people that have regulated data. So Chris, what is next thing? The next thing is, okay, now we know we have all of this problem. Now, can we ensure that we have a governance structure, which is, it's part of architecture, that will actually help us to be able to adopt all of this new technology? Guess what, Chris? I don't know how much Blue Dolphin costs. They have this rules or policy that says that it takes 3 months or 6 months to bring new technology in. Chris, The boat is already sailed. Those are the things that we have to help them understand. This
Right.
is 911. Let's address this. Governance is kicking everybody's ass. Pardon my French, is kicking everybody. I gotta be honest with you. Now that you are putting an EA, you are reorganizing your EA, make sure you have the governance that will back it up. And that governance will actually make people to be able to innovate within your organization. Stop, get out of the old way of thinking, that you have. You are no longer in your local environment. You are in what we call agile environment. And when you are in agile environment, what does it do? If anybody cannot measure their agile, fruitfulness, it's the growth. I expect the agile to say, if I am, before pandemic, I am doing 2 applications every 6 months. Guess what, Chris? Now you should be able to do 6 because you are now in agile world. But guess what? The governance is still and they are old. It's shocking. It's shocking people. And that's what I will tackle next. And guess what, Chris? This is part of the EA. They go along in a very, very cordial relationship. Because
it feels a lot like we just didn't know, we didn't have to deal with the problems before the big pandemic, right? And we knew the problems were there, but you got 50 other things to worry about, and your governance is a little sloppy, and the rules are not exactly clear, and there's a bunch of political infighting, but it's not killing everything. And then along comes the pandemic, and it puts a huge hole in the boat, right? I think of this really old movie, The Poseidon Adventure, where everybody is sailing on this big steamship across the ocean, and everything's fine, and the band is playing until the ship turns over, right?
Yeah, that is
and
true.
Everyone suddenly goes, "Whoa! I should have learned how to swim."
Exactly, Titanic.
All right. Well, look, that was absolutely fantastic. I am still going with Oluyemi. I know James is what everyone calls you, but I'm going with Oluyemi because I'm waiting for the book title. Guys, it's the Enterprise Architecture. That is the title. James, thank you very much for joining us today. Oluyemi, we will see you. Hopefully you're going to be here the next couple of days. We're going to wrap this session up for the day. I think I kind of did a wrap up of what we covered, and we can look forward to tomorrow. So let me do a look. James, you can punch off, and it'll just turn into this big thing of my face on the screen. I will see you soon.
Thank you so much, Grace. Thank you.
If nothing else, I'll see you in Orlando.
All right, awesome.
Okay, everybody, we've got a couple minutes. I'm going to wrap up just and talk a little bit about what we have to look forward to for day 2. So day 2, we're going to have Software AG is going to kick off with the session. Keep your eye on the prize. Use enterprise architecture to focus IT investment on business innovation. You hear this all the time. You can compete or you can innovate. And I think that presentation tomorrow from Conrad Langhammer will be very interesting. How do you use enterprise architecture to do business innovation? And when I talked about intelligent automation and noble automation, that's a big piece of what it's all about, right? So this stuff, you start to see all this stuff is interlinked. It's interlinked in the sense that we all need to move forward, come up with new ideas. The only way to do that is with a steady enough platform to stand on, but that's flexible to move forward. And then you can start adapting or adopting all kinds of new tools. So that'll be our morning session from Eastern time, 9 to 9:45. And then Jason from Ardak will be here, and his topic is called, that's Jason Baragri. And Jason, hopefully tomorrow, he's the Chief of Enterprise Architecture. If I said your name wrong, Jason, I don't think I did, but just in case, let me know. And that's trends driving the future of EA. So now we talked about, let's shake it out of COVID, and that's what James just took us through. And now let's say, what are the trends, the future trends driving the future of EA? And there were several questions about how do you implement machine learning and artificial intelligence and the rest of intelligent automation on top of an enterprise architecture? What are some of the smarter and better decisions to make to keep you from going off the rails? So hopefully we're going to hear Jason take us through some of that. And then we'll have another session. Hopefully Lee Bailey is going to be here tomorrow. I don't have the details on Lee's talk from Tupperware, although I've got a great story from Tupperware. They were a client of mine, and if we have time at some point, I'll tell you my great Tupperware story. To anyone who's outside of the United States, Tupperware is the company that makes the food storage, plastic food storage devices. They're like the Rolls-Royce of food storage devices. Anyway, they'll be here tomorrow. And then a big, what I'm really looking forward to is another one of the topics, because I've had some email exchanges with Craig. We've got another session after the lunchtime period, and that's going to be Craig Milroy, and he's from Microsoft, and that is data-driven digital transformation, enterprise architecture, and the chief data officer. You see how all these pieces kind of come together? You know, you need to know a bit of each one of these things, and this is a great structure. What does it mean to do that in the chief data officer's role? And guess what? The chief data officer better get along with the enterprise architect and better get along with all the other people. That's a great way to do it. He is principal data and AI cloud solutions architect at Microsoft. So that's fantastic. We'll hear that. And then we'll have, I'll finish out the day and I'll do a wrap up at the end of the day. I hope you all have enjoyed this. What I would ask you to do, if you have any feedback about the sessions that you didn't already submit, if you can submit that feedback through an email or whatever, I don't know if we went on a survey till the end of the session, but if you can submit a feedback to Proqis, you can, of course, if you have any feedback for me, I'm at chris@nobleautomationnow.com, chris@nobleautomation.com, but just send the feedback to Proqis is fine too. And we will see you all tomorrow for the second day of Enterprise Architecture Live, hosted by Proqis and some of our fantastic sponsors. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.